So today I'm going to digress a bit and talk about studying in Mexico and a lot of opportunities that come with that. A lot of us don't know about Mexico. So many people put so much energy in the US. Yes, the US is very good, but unfortunately now Nigerians are not Catholics are into the US for study route. So it's important that we channel channel our energy into some other countries with nice opportunities. And one of these countries is Mexico. Like we all know, studying in Mexico, I'm doing my PhD in biotechnology in Mexico, and I would like to take us through the process of getting an admission and then eventually studying in Mexico. And then so for I like to first talk about while going into Mexico through the study route is fantastic. If you ask me, there are different routes to going into Mexico, but one of them is study, one of them is through tourism, and the third that I know is through childbirth. All of these three processes they have advantages. And before we even dive into proper conversation, I want you to know that there are just only for me, I feel like the only issue here is the language barrier. But if we can take that out, I think that we're good. And then this language barrier is only for MSc. PhD, you don't attend classes. Maybe if you the most class a PhD student can attend is just one class. But for MSc, your classes are taught in Spanish. So that's the only course. And then I don't think that's a big problem because of course we have Duolingo, we have online platforms to learn the language. Spanish is not that difficult. So I think that if we think about the opportunities that come with this, if we think about the opportunities that come with this immigration, you know that if you for me, I'm going to advise that we learn the language. Learning the language is very important when we think about the eventual opportunities that come with this. So for studying now, so this is these are the two things for MSc and PhD, and then what distinguishes an MSc from a PhD are the classes that are taught in Spanish. Pardon me, give me a second. So now we will go into business proper. For the first thing to do, and okay, just like I said, for me there are two important things. For there are two important things for studying in Mexico. One is the language. So that is the language, mostly for MSc because MSc the classes are taught in Spanish. And then the second thing, which is one of the most fantastic things, is that the government takes care of you. As long as you're a student, as long as you're a scholar, as long as you're a scholar, the government takes care of you. So, pardon me, I need to shut this WhatsApp down. Now, there are two important things. One is the language, and two is the government care. The language might seem like a bit of an issue, but for me, I feel like not an issue because, of course, we can learn Spanish online. I mentioned that lingo, there's YouTube classes and all that. And then the second most important thing is that the government takes good care of you. When I say the government takes good care of you, they pay for your flight from Nigeria, they pay for your insurance, they give you stipend, you get stipend from the government. And then because you belong to the government, nothing, not no, there's no as long as you do not violate any law or constitution, you're good. nothing can, you will not have any issues. Now, so now let's go to business proper. How do you begin your study process? The most important thing first in Mexico is that you find a university. I put it that things to do, things to do list. Number one is to find a university because in Mexico, um, a lot of opportunities are given to the supervisors or the advisors. So the first thing first is to find a university. When you find a university, you need to look for the courses. Now, finding a university has to do with searching for your course, searching for your courses. I don't know for your courses. That's like one. Another thing to do now is to search for an advisor. This is important because, especially for a PhD, if you search for advisor, if you don't have an advisor, nobody can bring you in. The advisor is like one of the most important things to bring you into the country. So you need to search an advisor. This is part of searching, finding a university. Now I'm going to recommend four universities that I am extremely sure. One of them is the EPN. There are a lot of EPN in different states in the country. So we have the EPN, we have the UNAM, we have Simvestar, and we have Tennessee. There are a lot of, like I mentioned, there are a lot of universities, but these four are the ones that I recommend because most of their public university and their admission rate is on, I would say 100%, but because we know that we cannot say 100%, I'm doing 99% admission rate. So first thing first, like I said, is find a university. And in the quest of searching for a university, you need to, of course, the courses that you want, you need to search for the courses. You also need to find an advisor. This is extremely important. Searching for an advisor is extremely important because they are the ones that, so in, I'm going to explain why searching for an advisor is important. Now, so advisors also have like a scholarship that they get from the government. Remember that I mentioned government care. So in the government care, what we call this is SECHT. This is the name of the scholarship that the government gives as long as you are a scholar. So now this SECHT, one of the criteria is that you have an advisor. For you to get this SECHT, you will need an advisor. And that's where this comes in. Even if you're in, okay now, for a PhD, you need an advisor, especially you cannot go, if you intend to do a PhD, you can't go anywhere without an advisor. But for a master student, now for MSc, it is still flexible. What do I say is flexible? Because they always have, most schools have admission quotas. So some of them they usually have 2 admissions in a year. Now, now the difference is that you can just, for a master student, you can just apply to this anytime the admission is open, you can just apply. And then if you are lucky, you get into, if you are lucky and you get admitted, they can bring you in, like you get a government scholarship for an MSc. Even if you apply, there's an exam that you're going to do. During this process of writing an exam, the school automatically give you an advisor. That's for a master student. But for a PhD, only an advisor can bring you in. Because how a PhD works is that now you find an advisor. The advisor gives you the advisor, you find an advisor that's for a PhD. Now this person tells you, it gives you, write a proposal. You defend this proposal. If you pass, now there's like a meeting that they always do to tell the government that, oh, advisor one as a student too. Now, this meeting ends up in the government giving you a scholarship as long as you pass these processes. What makes this fantastic? Remember that in the US, you could get in the now. I'm going to give it use a US as a case study. In the US, you could get an admission. You get admission, you get admitted, and then your visa will be denied. That's very possible in the US, but that will never happen in Mexico. It will never happen in Mexico as long as you have an admission. If you have an admission in Mexico, it automatically means that the government is inviting you. That's what it means. If you have an admission in any public university in Mexico, it means that the government is inviting you to their country and you get the star plus, like they treat you like a king. When you go for your visa at the embassy, in fact, you will not go there. The embassy is going to write to you, they're going to send you a mail that you are a scholar in their country and they need you to come for your visa. Imagine that an embassy is sending you a message to come for visa. Will you ever get denied? No, you will never get denied. And then I think we should stop here for now. And in my next video, I'll let you guys know the advantages of being a student, how much this student visa can earn you. And then we're also going to talk about, like I told you, there are 3 routes into the immigration process that I know for sure. 1 is study. We're not done with the study. 2 is tourism, which I do not advise. I do not advise, but if you want that, 3 is childbirth. This is also good because you get a lot of advantages. For me, I give this a 5-star, and then this also a 5-star. But this is better if you don't have a means to help yourself. This does not require any money, but here you need your own money, a lot of it. So thank you for joining me in this section. I don't want to bore us too much, so I'm going to be dropping this bit by bit. Now today we stopped at getting an admission from the government, getting an admission from your advisor, and then the visa route. We're going to begin from visa route the next time. Since we already got an admission, first is to search for schools. In the school, search for a preferred course, search for an advisor. Okay, before then, let me do like a summary for PhD and for MSc. First, search for school. I already gave the schools. Again, I'm going to add the schools up here. Okay, APN. Um, it's like schools. Search for schools, search for school. Search for advisor. What do I stick again? Search for advisor. Pass your proposal. Searchable. Now for MSc, look out for admission quota. As we test. And requirement. Wow. So now one of the requirements is an English test, preferably TOEFL. And the second one, which is tentative, not all schools require it, but it's good because they use GRE to measure your capacity. So some schools request for GRE, but not all of them. However, English test is extremely important. So if you get this, you necessarily need an advisor. In the process of these guys, for a master student, in the process of passing your test and everything, you get you get an advisor, and from there you get certificate. Certificate is the government scholarship. So from there we're going to continue. Like this is a summary of what we'll be talking about for PhD and for MSc. Also, when you search for advisor, passing this proposal for a PhD, you necessarily need a GRE. In this proposal, you need an English test and a GRE. This is not tentative, this is tentative for masters because not all schools accept it. But for a PhD, you need both of them. They're important. You cannot not now have it. You have to have them. I'm open to any questions that you have, and then we'll continue from here in the next section. Thank you for your time.